Welcome to another episode of the Top Corner Podcast. Today is 4/21/25, I guess.
You guess or do you know?
Yeah, we're gonna first round of applause.
Nice. He knows. He knows what day it is.
Round of applause.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting week, Madrid got sent back, so now I gotta choose another team to support.
Yeah, I was gonna. That was the question I was gonna ask you last week. Even though I had to wait until the results were certain, because I knew as soon as I asked you something about Real Madrid, that was the reason they were gonna come back. When are you switching, and if so, to who?
So for the Champions,
you have the kid on underneath. You're gonna rip that shirt and have whoever it is underneath.
But this Champions League, it's kind of difficult.
Yeah.
I like Arsenal because I don't know if I told you how I support teams. So I have criteria.
You told me, but once you tell them,
So my criteria.
They're gonna think that you're insane too. By the way.
Yeah, criteria.
You told me, but you're insane too. By the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too. By the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question.
You're insane too, by the way.
Yeah, my first question. think I like this guy. I don't care what kind of idea of football he's bringing.
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
It was less about. People think that tiki taka was like flashy. It wasn't flashy.
No,
it was smooth.
Yeah, it was smooth.
And it was just the exact opposite of the extravagant, flashy players. Everybody needed to do simple tasks, but it was doing them quickly and efficiently. And that's where that silkiness came out. And people started misconstruing that as, ooh, I mean, like, it's beautiful but not flashy. They're two very different things.
Definitely.
You can be a beautiful player but not as flashy as Ronaldinho.
Definitely.
And it's not about, they're almost incomparable too.
Yeah, and they were also more efficient. Like one, like
that's a good way to say
2009,
efficient.
2010, 2011. I mean, if you face Barcelona at that time, the consensus about even the opponent in the locker room, they were just thinking how much they're gonna or how many goals they're gonna get scored on.
Right.
That's what you're thinking, because you're not thinking you're gonna win.
Yeah. When it's like there are certain dynasties that come around, like Real Madrid's been there, and then even more recently, Man City have been there, where even high-profile sides, you can tell in the post-match conferences, even the coaches just go, well, they're the best team in the world. What are you gonna do? Like, essentially just saying, like, it's like, sorry, everyone in my locker room that I appreciate, and you have to appreciate me, and we work together. At the end of the day, that's the best club in the world, and we're not. It's like you hate having to say that, but at a certain point, it becomes undeniable that way.
It's crazy because I still was supporting Barcelona a little bit, but in 2010 when Eto'o left and he was an Inter, I supported Inter, but at the same time Barcelona, but more Inter Milan. Yeah, and Inter Milan was the first one to break Barcelona down, where the idea of every coach playing Barcelona at a high level or high stake game was, I'm going to just pack the defense and play them on counterattack, because they were so hyperactive and they had the tiki-taka going on from the middle, the midfield to the attack, that if
I can't advance anywhere, I have to sit back and hope for something to come my way. But as soon as I stretch myself out even the slightest bit, they'll see right through me.
Inter won them, won the first leg. Then the second leg, Barcelona is thinking, I'm a remontada. At that time, remontada wasn't a word, but they were thinking about it. Inter still won because they scored, and at this point of time, Champions League was 1 goal, away was 2. So you guys don't know the whole. So when Barcelona came back and they were playing at home, they were trying to score more. They drew, but Inter won. So that was the first time. Now the thing that really changed my mind on being a street bandwagoner is in 2012, when Drogba was, I think in 2012-13, Drogba was at the highest of his game, and that's why. And that year Chelsea won the league. So I had a teacher in high school. So in Cameroon, high school teachers are called professors, which is kind of interesting,
True. Okay.
So he loved Drogba. It's crazy. You in Cameroon, he loved Drogba, and if you're in Africa at this point of time, Eto'o and Drogba, who's the best? It was kind of like Messi, Cristiano, but African, And he said he liked Drogba, and he said, man, Drogba was playing. Can Eto'o do that? And man, the whole class just held ugly. They started fighting, and one guy fought another guy for Drogba versus Eto'o, and the pen came out, and he stabbed someone in the eyes. I was like, I don't think this is how I want to support.
That's a bit extreme, guys.
Extreme. So since that time, like, I don't think I want to be the supporter that just gives your heart so much that you want to fight and die for that, when they don't even give you a penny of what they earn. So that kind of
I agree with that. And that's the SEC football is the same way here, where I grew up with that. I grew up with a bunch of country boys where getting in arguments over shirts that they were wearing, and it didn't change the fact that I grew up in a certain house that supported a certain team, and we always did, and I always have, and I always will if I'm going to watch the sport. That's who I support. But I've never understood the you can sit there and make a comment about me being a fan of a team. I don't have to do anything about that. I don't know why I would need to react that way to you. I don't know why you're saying it to me in the first place, but I also why do I have to respond to that? It's a very strange impulse. I don't get it.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I'm not doing that. Right now I can support and be passionate. But I'm not what you call a diehard fan. Miss me with that. And I like to win, to be honest. Every time winning, the scales are tipping on one side for me to leave.
but I think that the important thing about it that keeps you from being the over the top fan is that you have to love the game
Yes.
more than the club or the
That's
or the
how
team.
I am. Yeah.
And that's the way that I am as well. It's like if my team is not doing as well as I want them to, I'm in a very sweet spot now where Arsenal,
yeah.
most of the games that I'm watching for this podcast, like for us, that are in the headlines, that are in the news, they're around it.
Yeah.
So I'm able to enjoy my club and keep up with the sport itself
Mm-hmm.
hand in hand. But when, Emery was in charge, when Arteta was in charge, and they're in the 8th, 7th, and nobody's talking about them unless it's bad. I didn't watch that many games. I kept up with the transfers. I kept up with the roster. I watched the highlights. I followed them through the table. But yeah, I wanted to watch the greater matchups because I love the sport, and that's the important thing.
Yeah. Now, talking about the sport itself, Trent Alexander-Arnold, it's rumored that he might stay for a year extension.
You think that?
It's a rumor. Sky Sport reported it, so I must trust a little bit of Sky.
Sure.
I know they're throwing in some kind of salt to it.
Yeah.
But if you think 1 year extension do you think that could be potentially true? Is it because Van Dijk and Salah kind of renew their contract and he's thinking, I can stay again a year? You never know.
I think that staying for 1 more year could sour other clubs to him. I think that it's not unlike the Mbappe situation.
Yeah.
Where it was like 2 years of him kind of, you got to chase me, and then they chased him, and then he ran away some more. And it's like, well, don't do that too much. And he's not Mbappe, although that's a whole different conversation. But I do think that if he does resign, I think that it's 3 things. The fact that Liverpool overperformed for a new manager.
Yeah.
That Van Dijk and Salah both re-signed.
Yeah.
And that Madrid do not seem as geared for domination as we thought that they were going to.
Yeah.
The club that he's currently at overperformed, and the one that he was hopeful for underperformed. That's not to say that, Real Madrid is even more like Chelsea than Chelsea, where they can be underwhelming one season and then come back and absolutely dominate. Like they just have a very quick turnaround. So I wouldn't be too worried if I was him in terms of, where is it actually going to end up if I go there. It's like, you're going to win. If you spend, if they offer you a 4-year deal, you're going to win the Champions League one season at least. Like you're going to, because they're going to have that happen. 1 year extension, I don't see it happening, but crazier things have happened. But the rumor came around because he celebrated that way at Leicester. Yeah. And it's like, certain things have merit, certain things have credit. This one just kind of felt a bit like, oh, see, he's like freaking out on the sideline like that. There it is. And it's like, no, he's probably going.
If you're him, where would you want to stay for a year extension? Depending if you see the future of the club you are at right now, making moves to establish some kind of legacy moving forward, or you thinking, wait, if I go to Madrid, the chances for me to win a Champions League and a league and to be on the map is as high as possible, because at the end of the day, it's Madrid.
I think that he's at that point. What I've seen in recent years is that someone wanting to be a one club man is slowly dwindling. It's not they're not really that interested in that anymore. And he's been at Liverpool since his youth. Yeah, he's ready to move on, and the most prolific club in the world wants him. Yeah. It's not that he likes Real Madrid more than Liverpool, or that he, gun to his head, had to choose one, that he would not choose Liverpool. He would. But he's done so much for them. He's been there his entire life. He's a local guy. Yeah. He's given them the Premier League and the Champions League. Yeah. He wants to go play for Real Madrid. That's something that he wants in his accolades. That's an accolade in itself. Playing for that club, just being on the roster is an accolade in itself in a way. Yeah. And he wants that, and I get that. So it's like, let him go. 1 year won't make that much of a difference. I agree. But what you just don't want to do is, if that's the end result club for you, you don't want to string them along like that, because like they'll give Mbappe some grace, and they probably learn their lesson from that. Of like, you don't get to jerk us around, guys. Like, I don't care who you are, and they have a recent person that's proof of that.
Now the thing though, talking about Madrid itself, and this is probably still a rumor, but I think this rumor might be strongly acted upon if certain things don't get delivered. When I mean certain things, Carlo Ancelotti is rumored to be fired at the end of the year. Now, if you're Madrid, has always been since the creation their blueprint and their market. What the market yourself is a club of stars. You gotta win certain things, right? A year like this for Madrid, which they've had years like this, but when they have year like this, the coach is usually going. He's not staying.
Oh yeah.
Now it's rumored for him to get fired. But
it's rumored that he might leave before the end of the season. They might I saw that they might let him go after the Copa del Rey final.
That's what I saw too.
Regardless of the outcome.
If I'm Ancelotti, I kind of want to live without them firing me.
Sure.
But it's kind of weird because you're in a position where you can't really live before they fire you.
Yeah.
Well,
and part of what makes that club so special is that they're not afraid to fire anybody.
Oh, they're going to fire.
It's like, and Chelsea's that way too, although theirs comes a little bit more from we need this now, we need this now, we need this now.
Yeah.
Whereas Real Madrid is a bit more like, I mean, this is expected of us.
Yes.
Chelsea seems more scrambling and trying to solve their equation, which isn't a bad thing. But it's like it hurts Madrid's reputation as being the best if they, even for a second, let one of the best managers that's ever lived linger longer than he should, just because of who he is. Once the public sees that Real Madrid admire the status more than the product, it brings them down a tiny bit from their platform.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So it's crazy because I like Ancelotti, and interesting enough, the team that goes and win the Champions in 2015 was actually kind of built by Ancelotti before he left to Everton. And when he was there, and Zidane was Zidane went before they fired him, which is interesting because there was rumor for him to get fired when he was actually performing well. And Florentino Perez went and called Ancelotti and said, hey, because they're actually friends, which is crazy. But, this is business at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Even friends is like, hey, man, you got to go.
But it's rumor he might go to Brazil. Actually, I want to see what he's going to do with this Brazil because they suck and they're a mess.
Oh, my God. Yeah. I mean, well, that's true.
I want to see it, too. I mean, this is not Brazil I grew up with. This is a completely,
That's brutal, though. They suck. They're a mess. Get them out of here.
Yeah. Wake up of the Champions League.
Really fast. Hold on.
Go ahead.
I saw that it's similar to the level of rumor here that people around Victor Osimhen have all but guaranteed that he will be moving to United this summer.
Manchester United.
Yeah.
The crazy.
Now, because he's been linked there for a long time. Yeah. He's been linked there for as long as it's been understood that he was wanting to leave Napoli. So, I mean, it seems like that's what he wants to do. The people around him have said that it's pretty much guaranteed. So the move to that club is not surprising.
Yeah.
The current state of them while he's wanting to now still move there is pretty surprising.
Yeah, because actually Highland is not producing well.
Right,
Highland is
of course.
a situation where
you guarantee a walk-in. Yeah. Like he walks in and starts. Yeah. So if it's playing time that he wants, he's going to get it.
I think he might even leave. Highland might leave, or they might offload him somewhere. I don't think he's a bad player. I just think that he don't know how to position himself, how to read the attack. So because he's everywhere, so he's occupying space on the field that shouldn't occupy. So he's messing up everything. So
you let him go, and even though Xerxes is not a striker with any means whatsoever, he at least seems to do a little bit better in build-up play. At like a number 10. He seems to have a bit more of an eye for a pass than finished product. He's still not performing at the level that he needs to for a club like Manchester United. But if you have somebody in front of you like Victor Osimhen, maybe that does change a little bit.
If I'm Victor Osimhen, I get more in the spotlight. Because at the end of the day, as a player, yes, you want to have a legacy, but don't forget you're also there to work.
Well, and I also think, sorry, go ahead.
So you got to pop your market value up.
And I think it'd be foolish to think that he'll stay for the entirety of that contract, regardless of what it is.
Yeah,
he's clearly he's got to get out of Galatasaray.
That's true.
That's the key
for the caliber player he was.
If he signs a 4-year deal, which is a lot, and he would be just under 30 if he did fulfill that contract. I mean, a season and a half, and people are making offers on him. You know, like they're gonna. I think that they said that they were gonna pay around $80 million for him, which is a lot. I don't know where that money's exactly coming from them, especially considering what they've been spending. Yeah. But if they offload people like they're supposed to, there's maybe some wiggle room for that. But you can see $80 million for him now. If he's a rock star for 2, someone spending 90 to 100 to buy him out for the 2 years, they do profit on it. Not enough to take a big gamble for me, but I don't see him staying for the entirety of that contract. He's using them as a stepping stone to go somewhere else.
Probably that is a good way of saying it. Another thing will be,
and they're not in a position to say no to that either. Like, they can good and well sign him, understanding he's wanting to move on as soon as possible. We've got to get the fuck out of mid-table or bottom half of the table.
Yeah.
We have to.
So you're also thinking about next year, because if you are if you're Amorim, the next year, a whole season next year, if you're not at least showing signs of improvement, now the fingers are pointed at you.
Yeah.
Because we will say, well, we bought you in mid-season last year. You had all the time to kind of start thinking about building your own team, your own ideology of football, with your own players. So this whole year, next 25-26, we don't see any improvement. It's on you. So I see why he can start bringing some of these people. And I would say, if I'm him, I'll offload everyone and just let the young players, and since they have money issues, hey, promote even the players from how do you call it, the juniors. You know, because they're playing well. They're playing well. I saw the U19s or U17s. They beat Leeds like 12-0 or something. They're playing well. So
and you know, there's some money to be freed up in the books, because one of the other rumors really fast is Garnacho to Napoli. But that's the issue though. If Osimhen's coming in, I kind of want somebody like Garnacho in the wide. Especially if the person that you're gonna have right behind him is in theory a Xerxes. That's, you know,
well, I think the other, what's the name of the I keep forgetting, the black guy that plays on the left wing right now, or that he put the other time. I forgot his name.
Amad Diallo plays on the right.
Right, but there's another guy that he just started playing. He's like 18 or 9. Yeah, he played I think 2 games ago. He plays on the left. I think that's what he's thinking.
Dorgu.
I think that's Dorgu.
Well, because he's running a 3-man back, so that technically Dorgu's a left fullback, but he plays like a wing back, so he might as well be a winger at times. So yeah, I get that.
That's what I'm saying. That he might be thinking
bring the young guys in.
Yeah,
sure.
Because the way you see it, he's more. You can already see where you already have these young guys. Even when you look at the bench, the substitution, it's more of the younger. So I'm thinking probably next year that's what he wants to do. So let's see what happens. And just a recap of the league before we go to the Champions League. Right now, Liverpool is doing great. They haven't won the league yet per se, but if they beat Spurs, I think they will win the league. I think it's automatic. So
I mean, they have kind of slowed down a tiny bit, but they knew that it's all but assured that they're stepping over the finish line first. And more importantly, you know, it's history won't remember the fact that they kind of slowed down a little bit. It's the fact that they won. You know, I mean, like you look at the title wins in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. Nobody's talking about, like, especially now, nobody's talking about like, oh, well, you know, in those last 5 weeks they dropped 7 points. Like, no, that's not. It's the result. It's whether they held the trophy or not, and it's guaranteed at this point.
The one thing I would say for the league though, this year was some people think that this year was a little bit not as competitive, but I don't look at it that way. I think this year was competitive. The thing is that we just had more from everywhere and less from these teams where they're extra dominant. Because for the past 4 years, we have been stuck in this loop thinking this is how it's supposed to be, because we had 99 points, 100 points. So we're thinking this is the norm. It's not really the norm. You know, this is the norm. Everybody should be able to win it at any point. But I think this year it was up for grab, and we have a lot of teams. Like you see Newcastle in top 3.
Forest. That's the thing about this league, is that, you know, there is a big 6, but recently, if some of the big 6 are faltering and not meeting expectations, other teams are taking their places. You know, because there is still technically a big 6 or a big 7 right now in terms of how they're performing. It's just the fact that Tottenham and United are outside of it. But that's because Villa, Newcastle, and Forest of all teams just assumed that position. It's not the fact that, you know, of the big 6, Tottenham and United are stinking it up, but still in 6th and 7th, and the rest of the table is just languishing. It's like, no. There were teams ready to meet that challenge. And
That's
Forest
true.
beat Tottenham 2-1 today and moved back up to 3rd.
Yeah.
People are saying that they might drop out of the top 4. That was 3 very big points that they absolutely needed, and they got them. So
You got Nottingham Forest 3. You got Newcastle 4. I mean, next year you're looking at 2 of these, teams getting the Champions League. You have City scrambling to get into the top 4.
Yeah.
That's crazy, know, which is interesting because a part of me, I kind of want City to not get into the top 4.
I want to see, yeah.
But
Although it'll kind of be like Chelsea in the Europa Conference League, where
they're gonna win.
they're just gonna slaughter the entire
But I kind
campaign.
of want to see that for just to see what Pep would do.
Well, yeah, to see how proud they are.
Yeah.
This thing, like, because Chelsea's gonna win the Europa Conference League, and you're gonna celebrate because it's a cup.
Yeah.
Like, it's silverware. But you are curious to, like, what degree are you guys gonna celebrate? Like what is this gonna look like? Because a Declan Rice helmed West Ham winning the Conference League was massive.
Yeah.
When in that debut league, in that debut presentation of the campaign,
But
and then Mourinho with Roma winning,
Yeah.
that's a big deal. Roma winning that title is a big deal.
Yeah.
Chelsea
Because they
winning
had-
the 3rd division of European competition, not a big deal. But will they celebrate as such?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But
to
I
think
just
about.
want to see them going in there and playing Celtics.
Yeah.
Or one of these clubs and see if they get beat. I'm like, dang, man.
Yeah.
Even there. Talking about the Champions League and the UEFA, what's that? The other thing I keep forgetting. The Europa. I think Lyon and United. I didn't watch the game. I just watched the highlight. That was a crazy.
Yes, it
game.
was. Yeah, for sure.
In the 100 and how many minutes they just equalized.
Mhm.
That was what Madrid thought they were gonna do.
Yeah.
To Arsenal.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it didn't happen.
And so about the format change here,
Yeah.
because I think that the league stage was a great change up.
Yeah.
It kind of spiced it up a little bit. You didn't have to play everybody in a 2-leg deal.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bit more chaotic, and each match seemed to matter more because there was not a way to respond to it. Not having the relegation system for like 3rd place or like certain like league, at this point it would be like X amount of teams from the league phase move down to the Europa or down to the conference. I think that hurts the competition a little bit.
You think that hurts Europa?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
UEFA?
Yeah. Because look, I mean, at the end of the day, nobody that's in that starting league phase
Yeah.
is going to change.
Mm.
So it's much easier to predict the Europa League without the let's do some quick observations here. If
Why you do that? Because for me, I always thought I didn't actually like the idea because
really,
it's like taking overpowered teams that fail in the competition they're supposed to play.
but they earn that
and they-
spot though. Yeah, I mean,
And they
I
go
get
to
it.
this like lower level competition and you just bulldoze everyone and just win it when FC Praga should have won it.
Yeah, I mean, like realistically, we're looking at like if the bottom half of that playoff
Yeah.
system from the group stage for the Champions League, you'd have like Celtic, City, Sporting, Juventus, Monaco, Benfica.
Yeah.
That feels like who would have gone down in that 3rd place group stage.
Yeah.
And so the matchups now, like you do get things like Tottenham and Bodo Glimt in the semifinal. You're like,
Hey, I like
okay.
to see that.
Really?
So you know what I think? I think they will have now to do a good job at promoting this to make it.
That's the thing. Also, they don't promote it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, though. So they will have to do a good job promoting this to the eyes of the viewers, so it becomes competitive.
Yeah.
Because instead of relying on this, the bottom half that didn't do well in the Champions League get kicked out to the Europa. It's like Juventus, Monaco, all these guys getting kicked out there and getting the Europa. It's just too overpowered. Teams that had hopes to win it, and they're like FC Praga, who don't have your budget, the players and everything, and you just come on.
They grant,
So that's how I'm thinking about it.
So what's funny though, although I do think that Athletic Bilbao and United could be actually a really good game.
I think I will watch that one.
But what's funny is that there's a very strong possibility of the Europa League final being Tottenham and United, which are 14th and 16th rated in the Premier League, which that seems underperforming in the domestic league. Like,
but that would be out for blood, though.
Well, yeah. It'll be a violent matchup for sure.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because it's like at that point you're kind of saying that the Europa League, the Europa League talent within the squads should be a bit higher than bottom half of the table Premier League. I'm not saying that it should be.
No, I get that. I get that. I get your point. It's just for me, I just thought of it as just guys that were supposed to not be in there because they have more than all the other teams.
I do get that. It is more fair that way.
Yeah.
Of like, we wouldn't stand a chance in the Champions League, but now that you're sending Champions League teams down,
it's
that
like,
we're failing.
look
I
at
get
Chelsea
it.
when they won it in what was that year, 17 or I forgot which. They beat everyone to win it. It's like, yeah, of course you're gonna beat everyone.
Yeah.
Sending City there, that's crazy. Sending Juventus there, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
But either way, just a little Champions League recap. The Champions League was amazing. What Arsenal and Madrid on the home game, Madrid thought they had the whole display, they did everything, they had the social media talking.
They were talking big time.
Oh yeah,
Chatterbox.
They had things about Remontada and all that. They had things about. It's kind of interesting to see how the Arsenal was clowning Madrid after the game. They put the you didn't go on social media, but on this Facebook thing that I'm following, they had the Bernabeu Stadium because they closed it.
Yeah,
and they had rice. You know how when you cook rice, it rises.
Yeah.
And they had the rice.
Jesus.
Rises.
Yeah.
And it just kind of opened the Bernabeu.
Wow.
And they're like, man, Declan Rice just cooked.
That's something.
That was amazing. They kept trolling Madrid. I was like, oh, damn, man. I got to pick another team now.
Again, those free kicks were unbelievable.
Yeah,
they were insane.
definitely.
Insane.
I think Declan Rice was in his bag.
What was that? Yeah.
But interesting enough, I think Arsenal Inter. This is my prediction. It will be either a very very boring game and
it's Arsenal PSG.
Oh, Arsenal PSG. Sorry, no Inter.
And Barcelona.
Actually, that's a good matchup because Inter they're fluid enough to even when they play the kind of parking bus, they have good fluidity in building up to win.
Yeah, they can
to counter attack.
Yeah.
But also they can. It's interesting because they can hold possession for so long, even though they're playing defense.
Mm-hmm. It's the kind of the equivalent of a tennis player playing against a brick wall.
Yeah.
That's what, because Barcelona's just going to tee off on them and go absolutely nuts. I think that Inter can just kind of sit back and wait for the counter. And I would not be surprised if Inter gets. It won't be pretty.
Yeah,
it will not be pretty at all.
I think this is what I'm thinking for Barcelona. Barcelona have to be vigilant about the highlight they're playing. The reason why I say that the highlight will work on teams that are not essentially playing defensive as Inter.
Yeah.
But if you're playing defensive as Inter and you're gonna do counterattacks, the highlight won't work because all these players are in your half. So now you will have to.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying. So this will be
the extreme Barcelona press works best when the team's not trying to absorb it.
Yes.
They're trying to get their to get their own breathing room as well and fighting for that middle space. That's when it works in their favor. Yeah, if you're willing to meet them on their own terms and say, you know what, you're going to show vulnerability at some point, and we can absorb the pressure as long as we're committed to it.
Yeah.
And we will outlast you. And Inter have proven that they can do that.
Yeah.
They've proven that they can do that. I think better than Barca can cope with their high line.
Yeah, because a lot of people, or even us, even me, the Inter's not in the spotlight, but actually Inter's the defensive team of this competition.
Yeah.
They have been scored way less, and they have been proving that they can defend till they die. So it's gonna be
Arsenal and Inter's goal differences are pretty similar. Inter's is 11-4.
Mm-hmm.
And they've only conceded one goal
Oh.
in this entire competition. And then Arsenal they've scored 16
Mm-hmm.
and they've conceded 3.
Yeah.
So they're both very tidy at the back. But the 11-1 shows that Inter can
they can lock the whole thing up.
But they can also bang in some goals when they need to. They're not hopeless. They're not hopeless at all.
They're not hopeless at all. So they got a good build up at the front. So I'm interested to see how the same thing. Arsenal Liverpool, that's a good one too. I think Arsenal just have to be vigilant on the counter attack coming from the wings. Because the one thing that I've seen with this PSG is how fast they can execute the counter attack with less waste. That's the thing. They don't waste the ball. As soon as they have it, it's at the top.
Yeah,
so I'll see how about
and there's going to have to be good communication between your two center halves and your six. Party has to be in a position where he can be mobile and physical, but not stretched too thin, because you have João Neves and Vitinha in the midfield that they're much pacier. And they've shown that they have not only the pace but the eye for the pass as well. If Party is not consistently in a good position between, at least it'll be Kevior now, which is not a great thing. Although he did look good against Madrid, I will say that. But Saliba also showed that he has a bit of a mistake in him as well, which was kind of interesting to see. You do have to watch for that pace in the midfield for the build up, because Declan Rice is not a speed demon. Odegaard, while he means well and is, he hyper presses everybody, he's not the best defender in the world, but nor should he be expected to be. But yeah, Party sitting in between the two, he's got to be very vigilant in terms of the tackles that he commits for, and he's really got to win his 1-to-1 duels with those guys with the pace.
The one thing that I would say though, if I'm Arsenal, I'm still looking for a striker, I will go for Guirassy.
Yeah.
Because he probably is going to be cheap right now, but he is a classical striker. When you watch those games, he has what Arsenal will want him, because he's not the guy, he's not one of those strikers that would do a lot of the technical things, but he is a pure striker that like what you call a fox.
Yes,
he was.
Well, that grounded cross in the first leg of the Real Madrid and Arsenal matchup that Saka brings in.
Yeah. He wouldn't let that
all
slide.
That you needed, Mourinho just needed to be there. He didn't have to do anything crazy. He just needed to be there, and you need someone to be there.
When you watch that Dortmund game against Dortmund played against again Barcelona. Yeah. All the passes, he was there. He was always in the box. Yeah. Even if the goalkeeper had hit it, it comes back. He's smelling it. It comes back to him. Yeah. So
it wasn't their issue of scoring goals, because he's still the Champions League leader.
That's crazy, actually.
It's just 22 scored, 12 let in. At that point, and that's not an insane goal difference. You're just letting goals in at the wrong time. The absolute worst. And their back line's been suspect for years now. Then they've not really been able to remedy that. But yeah, that just shows me that when they did concede goals, they were just at the worst possible moments.
That's what I'm saying. If you Arsenal, you want a high level striker. You also
without spending 100 million, because we do have other places to replace as well.
I'm going for Guirassy right now, because I feel like if he got it, and he's not even in the spotlight that much, which is crazy for how much he's producing. That
Yeah. It shows how unfortunately the viewership drop off is from the Premier League to the Bundesliga. And you're looking at Jorginho and Party leaving this summer. They have their eyes on either Zubamendi or Bruno Guimaraes. So that's where the money's gonna go, guaranteed, because those guys are gonna cost more than Guirassy. But you're right though. That's who you can get for 55.
High level guy, 55.
Yeah, maybe 60.
60. You spend the money,
and then you're spending another an 80 on Zubamendi or Guimaraes. That's a good summer. Those are two great signings, and they're things that you need.
That's true.
But yes.
Well, I won't stress this enough. Go subscribe, go listen, go turn on your bell notification on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram,
Spotify.
Star
review, bitch.
Yeah. Let me give
hit him with
an applause there.
And then get aggressive with the gunshots.
Oh yeah. This is what's gonna happen. Go subscribe.
I love the bass. I love the bass of those gunshots. It's wild.
Well, we'll see you guys next week.
Goodbye.